So what did I think about old Red Auerbach comments about Wilt Chamberlain saying he was spoiled, said he had the ability to play, but not the ability to win. When asked if he would trade, if he would swap Bill Russell for Wilt Chamberlain, what do I think about that? I heard about that. Wilt Chamberlain was one of the greatest basketball players ever, and maybe arguably the greatest athletic one ever. However, it's kind of funny. The same disses that come to Wilt Chamberlain also came to Shaquille O'Neal. And Shaq did double him up in rings, and he three-peated with less overall talent. Now, I can say that Wilt was probably more dominant athletically with what he did as an individual, but I could say Shaq got more out of it as a team player. It's kind of like my old added argument. Wilt was the better maybe individual, but Shaq was more in terms of the team. So it all depends on what you're looking for. It all depends on what they're looking for the completeness. Wilt gave you a more complete situation, but Shaq made it count in the big picture situation. So it all depends on what it means. But Red Auerbach was not saying this from a place of hate or malice or nothing. Let me tell you something. Red Auerbach is one of the logos of the NBA. He has as much to if you could put a face in a cigar, his cigar is almost like Kojak's sucker and almost like the Jerry West silhouette. He represented greatness. The guy was the chairman of the team, head coach. He put pieces in place together. One of the greatest minds basketball's ever seen. And he observed opponents. He observed what he saw across the lines. That was a strong era. Don't let whack busters like JJ Ridiculous or LeBron James or some of these other turkeys who try to downplay the past act like it didn't matter, or say that this guy's this and any other, because he saw it. And you can make the case Bill Russell's the GOAT. I say this all the time. No one defended themselves better than Bill Russell did. And he had the whole team on his back. And the city and the town, and as a player coach. Come on now. Bill Russell is still a standard. But Chamberlain's athleticism was uncannily amazing. But does that mean that you cement him above? Not necessarily. And I know I get into this feedback. I said, well, I take Shaq over him because Shaq won more with less overall during his peak and his prime. Because we're going to concentrate on peak and prime. We're not going to go over all this and everything. When Kobe was the sidekick, and he did great. But the best Kobe was when Shaq was gone. But even that was more, there was still a technical aspect that he had to play with the big and with the Phil Jackson to win. But let's get in. Shaq won with Dwayne Wade. He went to the finals with Penny Hardaway. Yes. But then you can make a comparison and say, hey, if you had Jerry West and Elgin Baylor with Gail Goodrich and you put Shaq in that time period, does he dominate, run the table? Think about it. See, so, it's a lot of kind of things that you flip coins on, But they were two of the greatest dominant players ever. But Auerbach saying that the ability to play and the ability to win is two different things. Well, that's how they measure you. And the 2 rings and the loss argument, even though as great as the Celtics was, coaches watch. And I'm not going to sit up here and diss Red Auerbach, because if anybody knew anything about basketball, I think this guy knew a thing or 10 or 20, a thing or few about winning championships. This is the same guy who was smart enough a year prior when you used to pull the old Reed game and he drafted Larry Bird. He had that already plotted and planned. This man had a very high basketball IQ. So what he said about Wilt, there was very much truth of it. He talked about Wilt practice different from the team and his attitude. And, and this is not no hit piece against Wilt, because I think Wilt Chamberlain is underappreciated. And he's top 10, He's anywhere, he's on my top 10 in the middle. But impact is right there. Depends, But Red Auerbach makes a great point, because he observed and they had to scheme and coach against him. And they saw him and he saw things. And no, Wilt was not better than Bill Russell in terms of the overall picture. And the overall picture is what you look for. That's how we look at the technical aspect of the game, not based on individuality, stat wise. Because it's not, it's not an individual sport. But he's as great as anybody you want to put up against. Yes, we do that. However, if I put into the concept what you did with your team and how you got everybody going and what you did, he's nowhere near Bill Russell, and very few people are. But anyway, let me know what you think about Red Auerbach's thoughts. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for nothing. Share the video if you like. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free, and more time. Peace.